What's going on, guys? Matty here from DCLblogger.com. Exciting time, guys, with Decentraland. Second auction has been announced. We've been waiting a very long time for this. Personally, I've been waiting for like 6 to 8 months for this to happen, and it seemed like it was going to be a long way from now, but I guess everyone just voted for it to be soon, and bam, we have a second auction coming up. It's going to be in the second week of December, between December of, no, I'll get onto that later. But I wanted to just go through a couple of things. Firstly, let's explore this blog post, and secondly, let's look at the kind of hotspot areas that I think. So all these dark gray, blackish pixels are all lands that are unsold and will be up for auction. Okay. There's also some districts that are expected to be dissolved just because they have decided to discontinue with those districts. And they're not any big districts. I think they're the smaller ones. But in saying that, what's going to happen is, for example, say this district is dissolved and these 5 pixels are turned into land, and they are put up for auction. Then that means that there's 3 lands available now right next to Genesis Plaza that you can buy. Okay, connected to Genesis Plaza. So although it may seem like on the outset there's not many premium land up for sale, it may be a completely different scenario once there's more details on the auction and this kind of stuff. But anyway, let's start with the blog post, guys. Let's start with the blog post. So if you're not familiar with the last auction, if you didn't participate in it like me, I wasn't part of the first auction. I got into Decentraland sometime in February, which was a good month after the auction had finished. There was 161 million mana as a whole spent over 35,000 parcels of land. Okay, so all these light gray areas that you see, not including these, which are the lighter gray, which are the roads, all these areas here and all these colorful ones here that are the lands for sale, there's about 35,000 of those in this whole map. So 35,000 lands are owned by someone at this current moment. 30 million USD at that time was spent and burnt, guys. All the money that was spent, this 161 million mana, it didn't go to anyone. It was all burnt, removed from circulation, which is kind of one of the reasons why Decentraland, the mana token has retained its value even after the initial pump of people buying it up to spend on the first auction. It's retained its value because that money was spent. It was burnt, sorry. It wasn't kind of reintroduced in circulation. Okay, but what this did was it left another 10,000 or so lands unowned. So all these lands here with these dark lands, there's about 10,000 of those pixels left. Okay, and those are the ones that are definitely going to be up for sale once again. But there's some things that are going to be different. Something's going to be different. What's going to be different? The main difference is the fact that it's going to be a Dutch auction. And if you're not familiar with Dutch auction, I've noticed that a lot of blockchain games, specifically like MLB Crypto, what else was there? There's a couple of other ones. I think I can't really think of any at the moment, but MLB Crypto is a really good one, where the kind of figurines that they put up for sale, they start at like, I don't know, 5 Ethereum, and they slowly go down to 0 over the course of a week or 2. Okay, and whoever wants that particular figurine, they'll buy it. So the same thing with land here. A Dutch auction is kind of like a reverse style auction. Okay, so all of these lands may start at, I don't know, 100,000 mana. That hasn't been kind of disclosed yet, but they may start at all like 100,000 mana or so, and they're slowly going to come down over the period of 2 weeks to 90,000, 80,000, 70,000, all the way down to maybe even 500 mana or whatever it's set to go down to. And those are the lands, and whoever is interested at that specific price, as soon as it's not about bidding anymore. Okay, it's about just buying it at the price that you want to. So obviously people are going to be watching their lands of choice very closely and wondering who's going to pull the trigger first. And it's kind of a good way to get people to purchase it off fear of missing that parcel. Basically FOMO into buying those specific lands. So if you want For example, if you want, say, a 3x3 set over here, okay, which is in between Ethereum and in between DCL kind of conference and a bunch of different districts. Well, this is going to be quite hot. I reckon there's going to be a lot of people watching this. So instead of having people bidding against each other, sniping each other's kind of properties out in between estates. So what happened last time was, say for example, someone wanted a 10x10, right? So what people would do is they'd put their bids for all 10x10, which is 100 parcels, and somewhere close to the end of the auction, someone would come in and place a bid somewhere in the center just to mess that guy up. And I guess this Dutch auction stops that, because it's been mentioned that you can buy out a bunch of different parcels at the same time. So instead of buying each one individually and have the risk of someone buying one of the lands in your estate that you're trying to get, you can place a bid on all of the lands within your estate at one time. Not bid, sorry, I'll remove that word out of this conversation. But you can place a purchase order on all of these lands at the same time. Bam, you have all of these lands, you have an estate, and no one's gotten in your way. It's all fair game. So yeah, reverse Dutch style auction is going to be a new thing. It hasn't been used yet, so I guess no one really knows how it's going to work out, but we're going to get more details on that later on. And they're going to be releasing information over the coming several weeks. So what are we in? We're in 14th November. So we have about 4 weeks left till the auction kind of opens up for everyone. Let's also look at the Decentraland map, coin market cap chart, which has been moving quite a lot, guys. Decentraland coin, I've been quite interested in. Check this out, right? So over the last week or month, it's been on the move. It's on the move. So somewhere around here, I think, they released the vote for the second auction, and a lot of people realize that it's going to be really soon. So maybe it increased because people are holding on to their mana, like me. I'm holding on to my mana, and a lot of others are holding on to the mana because they want to spend it on the auction. So over the last month, the coin has increased quite a lot. It's gone up, I think, 40% or maybe 50%. So 72 cents to currently sitting at about 10 cents, or 10.3 cents, which is, yeah, that's about 50%, 40 to 50%. This is in a market, guys. This is in a market where everything around us is getting wrecked. Bitcoin's gone down even further. It keeps going down. It's probably going to keep going down, but Decentraland has moved up from all the way from 80 to 90 position. Now we're sitting at 63, guys. We're almost at the top 50. Literally, look at this, a few million in market cap, and we're going to be ahead of Walton Chain, which is a big deal because Walton Chain went to $40 in Jan. So we'll be in a great position as we keep rising through these to recover really well once once Bitcoin starts to recover in price, finishes its downward cycle. I think we have another 20 to 30 million left, so another maybe 20 to 30%, 35% before we hit position 50 and onwards. And yeah, it's all just crazy after that, guys. We have some big coins to beat, but I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there with the hype coming up for the second auction. I think there's going to be a really big marketing push for it. Okay. Now let's look at the map and the hot areas, which I think are going to get a lot of people buying in. First of all, there's 9,300 lands for sale. Okay, let's kind of make that 9,000, a flat 9,000, just for calculation purposes. For example, the cheapest land at the moment is selling for 6,900 mana. Okay, 7,000 mana. Although if these two are bought out, then the bottom is now 8,000 mana. And then if a few more get bought out, then the bottom quickly becomes about 9,000 mana. So very quickly, if someone buys out 3 to 5 lands, suddenly the bottom becomes 9,000 mana. So it's unclear what people are expecting these lands to go for. But say we take a very, very conservative 5,000 mana per land. Okay. If you take 5,000 mana per land at 9,000 mana, 9,000 lands, that means 9 times 5 is 45. That means 45 million mana needs to be brought to the table to be spent on all of these lands. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. It should be more than that because there's going to be lands that are available from dissolved districts. There's going to be people buying up specific lands for a lot more than that. So, I'm expecting, there to be about 70 to 80 million worth of mana spent on this second auction. But is there going to be people bringing 70 to 80 million mana as a whole community to the table? That's the question that I don't know, because there's going to be a lot of people holding on to the mana. So what you might find is that people just run out of money. They might just run out of mana to spend. They might buy all the land that they want to. At the start, there's going to be a big, maybe in the second week, the start of the second week, there's going to be a lot of FOMO on the land and estates that people want, buying them up at about 15 to 20,000 mana each parcel, to get the estate that they want. And then there's going to be a slow kind of purchasing somewhere in the middle, and then people are going to realize that there's just no more money left. Like they've run out of mana. So I'm going to be very conservative. My play is just to be very conservative. I'm already quite land rich. I have a lot of land, guys. I'm sitting on like 100 pieces of land, and they're in really good locations. I've got them spread across everywhere. So I'm not looking for any specific buys at the moment. If I see money making opportunity, I might get into certain things. So maybe at the latter stages of the auction. But all of this for sale at the moment is just, I'm just going to be watching to see what's going on. But let's just do a little analysis. So what I found is lands touching single roads or roads in general have a lot more value than lands not touching anything. Okay, so these lands here at the cheapest part of Decentraland marketplace, they're all in the middle of nowhere. You can see these little red dots, not really touching any roads, not really close to any districts. This one's at the far north corner, somewhat close to these districts. But the ones that seem to hold value are the lands that are closer to districts and Genesis plazas, and the ones that are touching roads. Okay, so in this one over here, let's order them by roads. Okay, so let's order them by parcels, cheapest, average, road 0. And now let's look at the parcels that are touching at least a single road, and you can see that suddenly the bottom is not 6,000 or 7,000 mana, it's all 12,500 mana. And if a few of these get bought, then it becomes 15,000 mana. Okay, and that's even at the outskirts, and the closer you come to the center, the more you'll have to pay for these. You can see the closer you come to Fashion Street here, they become 19,000 mana really quickly. So they're almost double, triple the size of parcels that are not really touching anything. So that being said, we know where the value is historically. We've seen where the value seems to be. So now, as these districts get dissolved, for example, let's say that this district gets dissolved, you're going to have this big chunk of land that is close to a bunch of other districts touching Genesis Plaza. So the value is going to be in this part right here. Okay, if any of these get dissolved, like if one of these gets dissolved, this is in the midst of a lot of action. For example, like this one here, right? This gets dissolved. It's in the midst of a lot of action. So we're going to see a lot of, like, someone might be buying these for 50,000 mana each. I think there's people with a lot of money in Decentraland, and they don't really care about it as much as we do. I've seen people drop a lot of money on parcels that definitely, from my perspective, I could have, one, got it a lot cheaper. Two, it's just not worth it in my perspective, but it's worth it for them because of some strategic location for them. Maybe they're buying it to fill up an estate that they had previously and whatnot. So that being said, I think there's going to be a lot of hype around dissolved districts just because they're better situated, they're better located, and they open up space to buy next to single or double roads, as there's not any or many parcels that are connected to single roads. The only ones I can think of are these 6 or 7 left that are connected to the far outskirts of this road, which I don't think mean anything because I'm pretty sure you can fly once Decentraland opens. So personally speaking, I don't think roads actually matter that much. It's just going to be a convenient way to walk up and down without any parcels in between. But I mean, you can just fly over all of these, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so that being said, let's see where the value is. Okay, the value definitely first comes from being in the midst of a lot of districts. So I think this specific area here with 2 major districts, DCL University Conference Center, Ethereum over here, we have Battlegrounds over here, a couple of other really big districts over here, so, and these aren't on the far outskirts. At least they're somewhere in the midst. I think that these will go, like estates over here will go for a lot. I reckon they'll go for about 20 to 25,000 mana each, just because they're located in the midst, and people are going to try pick up estates. If you can pick up an estate this big in the midst of all of this, I think it's going to be a great location, right? So what else do we have? So we got that spot there. We also have kind of this area here over here, which is, you know, a lot closer to these districts than the other unowned parcels. This area here is no man's land. Like, a lot of people left this out because they just didn't know what to do with it, right? It's not really close to anything. It's going to be kind of an area where a lot of independent developers are going to come up and probably set up shop. There's that, and then there's these corners over here. So the Chinese community is actually quite large. There was an interview done recently from one of the Chinese community members where there's about 2,500 people in their you know, chat groups, probably even more, maybe 3,000, 4,000 people in the chat group. So it's quite huge, and they're running a lot of meetups, a lot of like talks and stuff in universities. So there's a lot of action going on in these in DC, in China district. So that being said, like, these might get bought up by or might be the focus of Chinese investors, right? So that might be another hotspot, and you can get some estates connected to Dragon City. So this 4 by maybe 12, you can get this connected estates to Dragon City. Okay, there's another one over here. There's this one over here that's already for sale. So there's that area. I think this area might be another hotspot, but I think there may be a lot of scope and potential to buy cheap parcels if you wait near the end of the auction. If you want to if you don't really care about location, you're happy to buy like a 2 by 2 or even just a 1 parcel somewhere right, you know, on the outskirts. You might find that it might be a better decision just to wait to the end, just to see what everyone does. The Dutch auction style really favors people that want a specific area. They're the ones that are going to FOMO buy into that location. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, and let the auction kind of play itself out. But exciting times ahead, guys. It's going to be really cool to see what happens. Okay, now I wanted to go through another thing. So another factor in all of this is definitely going to be the price of the mana token, guys. The price of the mana token. As the price of the mana token increases, I'm finding a lot of people are willing to hold onto the mana token and not really spend on land. So now we're currently sitting at about 10 cents, and we've been here before. We've actually hovered somewhere in between 10 and 15 cents for a much longer time. You can see here the green value. So somewhere around here, you know, we were hovering between 10 and 15 cents. But then as soon as Bitcoin kind of fell down a little bit, then we started to go under 10 cents, right? So we started to hover between 6.5 to maybe 10 cents, barely touching 10. But now we're back to 10 cents. And if this continues to grow higher, we can see in Satoshi value, we're actually doing really well. But if this continues to go higher and starts to hit like 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, maybe 50 cents, right? Because this might get the attention as it climbs. As it climbs up the coin market cap ladder and it starts to grow at like 20, 30, 40 cents, who knows, maybe some people, some bigger players that are invested in these bigger coins, seeing some stagnancy in their current investments, might jump on the Decentraland mana bandwagon. And it's very attractive for a lot of people that are like, oh, it's only 20, 30 cents. I'm going to hold on to it till it hits $1. And it's a very attractive price for that kind of investor, right? So if that catches on and it gets the attention of all these bigger coin investors, then who knows, it might pump it right up to like 50 cents, $1 and beyond. And if that happens, then we may get a lot less money spent in the auction because people want to hold on to their mana a lot more than spend it. So there's a lot of theories that work, a lot of just probably waiting around to see what happens. It's probably the best course of action. Me personally, I'm just 50-50 diversified. I have a big stack of mana, I have a big lands that I'm just holding on to, and I'm just going to watch on the sidelines because I don't really know how to play this out. But I'm going to jump in when I see some opportunity to make money, maybe some parcels that are cheaper than I'm expecting. But yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot with this video. There's going to be an auction coming up in the second week of December. Hopefully a lot more content released from the team to give us ideas on how to go about it, better prepare ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So stay in tune and connect to my Twitter because I'll be tweeting a lot of stuff coming up to the auction. Take care, guys.